Good morning. The question of today says, how can I forgive someone who broke my trust? I'm not sure if the question implies their trust in oneself, or the trust in other, or the trust in life, but I guess they are related. How to forgive someone that broke our trust. The question actually says, destroyed my trust. So the thing you have to appreciate, and we don't always want to hear this, but we are often in situations where we actually allow some things to happen. For example, we meet someone, and maybe it's not an ideal encounter, but for a lot of reasons, we don't maybe set enough boundaries, or we don't do certain things to get this person or this kind of attitude out of our lives, and then we allow it gradually until eventually the trust is broken. So, of course, those circumstances are okay because we get to learn all of those things of cause and effect over time. If we never see the effect to a cause, we cannot know actually that it happens. This is a certain guaranteed effect to a certain cause. So, of course, we have to go through experiences to learn. But then after we have learned, we better just apply our lessons and experiences to next following circumstances. Now, so if this happened for the first time ever, then we just have to have the same attitude as when we're learning to ride a bicycle, for example. When we fall, it's part of the game. We have to fall several times in order to be able to ride again. So we just maybe treat it in the same manner, in the same lightness of content. We just say, yeah, it's part of the game. We have to fall several times in order to be able to ride the bicycle. But then when we learn how to ride a bicycle, then it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to be able to make sure that we don't get ourselves into those circumstances again. And then when this person destroys our trust, actually, the most important trust that is destroyed is the trust in our capacity for judgment, for discernment, to be able to not let those things happen in our lives. And that's the hardest. That's even hardest than the trust we have in the other person. Because we live with ourselves for the rest of our lives. We don't live with the other. We can, I would say, in those circumstances, maybe we don't have to talk to the other anymore, but we have to live with the consequences of our choices. And this is the hardest trust to reestablish. It's the trust we lost in our capacity for discernment and judgment, and our capacity to protect our life and the peace of mind we have in the future. And that also has to happen because, I mean, we cannot live with the harshness of our judgment on ourselves in the future. So we try to gradually reestablish the trust we have in ourselves. We try to make small choices and try to keep up with them. We try to go very gradually, very, very slowly, and try to build up the trust we have in ourselves very, very gradually. So we have to try to build the trust we have in the capacity for discernment, the trust and the capacity to make wise choices that would help us in the future. And gradually, after a series of those small gestures, eventually we are able to rebuild the trust in ourselves again.